This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Also want to thank our friends at Gulfstream as we get underway. Gulfstream Park champions start here. Nice day of racing at Gulfstream. Couple of stakes on their card. I'll certainly have those in the mix this afternoon when I'm in for another bankroll bonanza. I do want to remind you, coming up this afternoon here at the Clubhouse Racebook, one of two more of our $300 bankrolls. Mike and Sully were in the last couple of days. Today and tomorrow, I will have each day a $300 bankroll. Don't forget, swing on by and take your chance to be on the bankroll team. You can sign up between 11 and 2 this afternoon here at the Clubhouse Racebook. 20 folks will get selected for the team. That'll be picked at about 2 o'clock. I'll start betting at about 1 o'clock, and it should be a lot of fun. End of the day, the bankroll team splits up the dough that remains in the bankroll. Hopefully, it will be much, much more than $300. Come today and tomorrow. Come today or tomorrow. Any of that works, but the more the merrier. We would love to see you down here for the bankroll bonanza continuing this afternoon and tomorrow here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Also, today is a 1% Aqueduct Day. If you're betting through Capital OTB Bet, you can receive a 1% bonus on your wagering. More information and restrictions and whatnot via capitalotb.com. And today also, Fan Appreciation Day at the Alpha Lanes Easy Bet. That's in Troy. The event runs from 1 until 5 today. Stop on by the Alpha Lanes Easy Bet in Troy. Give us our chance to say thank you to you. The first 25 folks receive a bet voucher, a giveaway item, racing program. And during the afternoon, there'll be a contest and food and beverage. That's all this afternoon, starting at 1, the Alpha Lanes branch in Troy. So by all means, stop by and give us our chance, as I say, to say thank you to you. Oh, and tomorrow, football. Always want to remind you, still have some more football left. Playoffs tomorrow here at the Clubhouse Racebook. So come down for the bankroll tomorrow and watch all the games. Should be fun. College basketball today, 6 o'clock, my Orangemen. All right. A little bit later in the show, Dave Rodman will join us. They have a nice stakes day at Laurel, so we'll hit on the Laurel Stakes with Dave Rodman a little later in the program. But I wanted to reach out to start things out. Terry Finley, the head guy at WESTPOINT Thoroughbreds. And WESTPOINT, if you've been watching me in the afternoon, you know that over the past few weeks, I have been saying of the various venues I watch, they have been doing very well. Those WESTPOINT Thoroughbred Silks have been showing up in the winner's circle and prep for the Terry Finley interview. I looked up the numbers, and it has been a pretty good month and a half. Hit on that with Terry, but I wanted to go back to last weekend because Gunmetal Gray had the nice win in the Sham. But WESTPOINT Thoroughbreds also has a runner in the Native Dancer down at Laurel today, another runner in the Rego Park at Aqueduct tomorrow, and some stakes runners that are coming up in the weeks ahead as well that I thought we would catch up on. So up next, Terry Finley, WESTPOINT Thoroughbreds. Happy to be joined now by the Chief Honcho at WESTPOINT Thoroughbreds, our friend Terry Finley. Terry, good morning.
Hey, Seth, always a pleasure to speak with you guys, and at the start of a new year, and let's do it.
Yeah, and speaking of start of a new year, I want to go back to the end of the old year. First, we're going to talk, obviously, about last week and the nice win in the Sham. We're going to get to that, certainly. But before we do that, I have been saying for probably 2 or 3 weeks now, as I've done the afternoon handicapping program, hey, They're the Silks are our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds, and you guys have been on a little bit of a roll, and certainly in prep for this interview, when I went back to the website and kind of verified that, boy, going back to December 1st, it was a nice little end to the 2018 season and beginning of the 2019. Since December 1st, if I counted correctly, 12 wins at 7 different tracks. Congratulations, as I say, a nice exclamation point on the season.
Well, thank you very much, Seth. You know, we all know it is unbelievable how cyclical things are. And, you know, we got to the middle of the Saratoga meet, and we had a decent Del Mar meet, but we won one race at Saratoga, and we were like, where are our winners going to come for the rest of the year? But one thing leads to another, and, you know, things kind of fall into place until they don't. And then you just have to regroup and try to build to get into the next cycle. And that's the way we approach this crazy game of racing that we all love.
Yeah, and you know, it's the same on the handicapping side as the ownership side. You run through those cycles where you're handicapped and you feel like nothing can go wrong, and then all of a sudden you hit a cold streak, but it all comes around again. And as they say, you've been on a real nice run since at least December 1st, and even going back. Did I read correctly, Thanksgiving weekend, you had a win that was your 800th win?
Yes, yeah,
Nice.
We passed 800. Yep, yeah, we crossed 100 stakes wins in 2018, and we got to 800. And I was just thinking, it's going to take, you know, we win 50 to 60 races a year if we do all right. So in a couple of years, maybe we'll have a shot to talk about 1,000 if we're still around, which I certainly hope we are.
Yeah, again, congratulations, 800, just a fabulous number. And let's talk a little bit about, because you've been around for a while now with the partnership, and I know you like to get those horses that go to the big events, and certainly last weekend was one of those. Gunmetal Gray, we're going to take a look at the stretch run here. Gunmetal Gray is going to be the number 6 horse. Sueno runs second, Much Better runs third. Number 5, Coliseum, was the disappointment. The potential Baffert Monster at 3-5 runs 6th in the field of 7. But Terry, as a buyer's guy, I look at the numbers, and certainly 2 back the 90 for Gunmetal Gray jumped out a little bit, but you were going to have to get past that Baffert Monster. But as you went and looked, it's more than just the numbers, and I think when you take that second look at Gunmetal Gray, you had to look at the class. 2 back, finished second to game winner, and then went out and was had to be a little bit disappointing, the 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile to you, but it was 5th in a field of 13 with a nice come-from-behind effort. But like Bellafina also did last weekend, bounced out of that Breeders' Cup effort, and Gunmetal Gray came back with a really nice performance in the Sham. You and the partners had to be thrilled, and I think we have a shot of the winner's circle where you just beat the darkness, it looked like, as there is a lot of darkness in the background, this winner's circle photo. But again, congratulations, and give us your takeaway from Gunmetal Gray in the Sham.
Well, good result. Good result. You know, we won the Sham, by the way, in 2008 with a horse by the name of El Gato Malo, and you know we were happy with it. You know, it was interesting. His last couple works were average. He's always been a pretty good workhorse in the morning, and we were hoping that he was just kind of trying to figure things out, and he was getting smarter. You know, sometimes these horses, they'll breeze a bunch of times, then all of a sudden they'll be like, hey, I'm breezing, I don't have to put it all in. Or he was going kind of off form. And everything came together, and we were holding our breath, you know, at the half-mile pole to, if he was going to go one way or the other. Obviously, he went the right way, and it's tough. I was talking to somebody today at Gulfstream on the backside. Every time you turn around in California, when you have Bobby Baffert, he's an intimidating force. I'll leave it at that. He's an intimidating force, but every once in a while, you know, he's got the same bad luck as all of us do. And when that horse got left, I figured he was going to be in for a tough road with him being ranked and not settling and all that stuff. And it panned out exactly like that. So we'll take it, and we'll move on in the spring, and we hope that we can get to Louisville on the first Saturday in May.
And Mike Smith was on board for the first time. Did you get any word with a guy as much experience as Mike Smith? Any word on his opinion on Gunmetal Gray coming out of the race?
Yeah, you know, he's not a guy who's gonna tout you in a big way. You know, he worked him in the middle of the summer. He made mention that he worked him 3/8 of a mile, and he really liked him. And one thing led to another. He got sick on us, and right before he's going to run, like in July, and then we took our time with him. But Mike thought that he had a shot, and the main takeaway is that he didn't think the distance and increasing the distances was going to be a factor in this horse's career. So that's always a good thing. Mike's he's the big shot out there. We just hope that we've made enough of an impression to keep him on this horse as long as he warrants keeping a guy like Mike Smith on.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, with not only just the experience, but the, now Triple Crown experience. What was your takeaway going back a couple of races now, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile? As I say, that had to be a little disappointing to you, but it was a fifth, and again, from back in the pack to get up fifth in the field of 13, maybe a little bit better than it looked, but what was your takeaway on that Breeders' Cup Juvenile?
We felt pretty good.
Yeah.
We felt pretty good. I love the fact, Jerry Hollendorfer is not afraid to breeze him. So I'll give you a tidbit. We flew this horse back after a decent Breeders' Cup effort. He flies back to California on Sunday morning, and Jerry breezes him that following Saturday. He breezes an easy half. But that's the Hollendorfer way, and so that if they can stay around in that program, and we've had pretty good luck. We haven't had that many soundness issues. If they can stay in that program, you will not have a fitness issue. You might not be talented enough, but you will not see a Jerry Hollendorfer horse that's short the vast majority of the time. So we felt pretty good after the Breeders' Cup.
Nice. And you mentioned the trainer, again, visiting your website, and I tell people to stop by. Certainly, if you're thinking about getting into a partnership, there are all kinds of levels, but West Point Thoroughbreds, one of the premier out there, westpointtv.com. But I tell you guys, and I've mentioned it before, a really nice website, not just for your partners, which I think it's great for, but for just the general racing public as well. It's easy to follow the results and see where you're planning to go with horses, looking through the condition book and whatnot. But reading the news, I see that your members are treated, at least occasionally, to trainer conference calls, which I think is a kind of nice way to get in touch with and learn a little bit more about the guys who are conditioning the horses.
Yes, and that's something my daughter, Erin, she created that probably about 2 years ago. And I think it's really, really good because certainly with the number of partners we have across the stable, partners don't have a chance to interact with the trainers as much as they'd like. On game day, race day, they can interact in the paddock. But we throw the phone lines open, and they can ask whatever they want of our trainers, and it's been good. They've been asked some pretty tough questions, and transparency is really the key. And it's a great disinfectant for any organization. And I say that from a global perspective. But we like transparency. Just throw it out there. Like, we can address the mistakes we made and the things we should have done and should not have done. And I think it helps on both sides. It really does. And I know the trainers appreciate a chance to kind of talk about their background and their operations and their philosophies going forward in this game, and they appreciate that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice perk for people who get in. I think people get into the partnership game because they want a little bit of that back and forth and to feel like they're part of the game as well, and that helps that out. All right, talked about last week, a nice stakes win. Let's go to potentially Saturday afternoon and a nice stakes win potentially going forward, but the Native Dancer down at Laurel, race number 5 on Saturday afternoon. You have General Downs in here. Again, I'm a buyer guy, and going 3-back tossed in. A lifetime best buyer is a 5-year-old. Again, that was in the 2018 season, so now a 6-year-old. But that 94 buyer, 3 starts back, looks pretty good. And the win last time, we're going to take a look at that. This is December 22nd at Laurel. General Downs is going to be the number 4 horse. Nice gutsy neck win in here. Comes out of that one and goes into the Native Dancer. There are obviously some other horses that are going to be ones you'll have to get through. Stan the Man for Terra Nova comes in off a nice number last time in the Cigar Mile. Rich Daddy off a nice number in one of those claiming crown races. Todd Pletcher brings in bonus points. But you have to feel pretty good off this nice win we're looking at just a few weeks ago with General Downs over the racetrack. What are your thoughts going into Saturday's race?
We like this horse. We gave this horse to Kelly Rubley about 9 months ago, and she's done a really, really nice job. She's she's got a great future in this business. She's really starting to develop a reputation, and she's getting some better owners, and so I'll give a shout out to her. This horse, he's a 6-year-old. He's run 17 times, so he's not all beat up as a 6-year-old, and he's really headed in the right direction, and it's a normal midwinter, salty older males that go long on the dirt. That's a mouthful, but you know what I'm talking about. These kind of salty horses, they're not grade 2 or grade 1 horses. They can't compete at that level, but they can compete in these types of races. That's why they're very competitive and they're good betting races. So I think we stand a shot to really run well, and we just have to get real lucky to get to the winner's circle. But we're in with a shot, as they say.
And I'll get your opinion, because, as I say, he's a newly turned 6-year-old, but that number 3 back, a lifetime best buyer figure. And just looking down the page, it really looks as he got into the latter part of the 5-year-old season. He kind of came into his own a little bit later in the career.
Yes, and that's we're a society, and to go off into we want things now, right? Yeah. That's our culture. And sometimes with these horses, if they have some ability or more than some ability, you got to give them a shot to get there. And sometimes they don't get there till they're 5 years old, and it's a lot of money to get there. But once you're there, you just hope that you get paid back in some form or another. And that's what we think with a horse like this, to have a nice stake horse like this and kind of bebop around the Mid-Atlantic all year. We think we'll have some fun with him.
Yeah, he certainly has shown an affinity for Laurel, so we wish you a lot of good luck on Saturday afternoon with General Downs. Want to go back to the last week or so down at Keeneland, because you had a nice performance off the track, as well as you sent best performance into the sales ring. And I want to go back again as a partnership. I know you guys like to get horses and play at the highest level of the game, and she managed to do that. We'll go back and watch the stretch run from November 3rd, 2017 out at Del Mar. This is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. The very talented number 11 Rushing Fall will win, but less than a length away, your number 1 best performance. And as I say, you like to play at the highest level of the game. And this was big, and I think I had a shot from a Twitter account a couple of days ago after the horse went through the sales ring at Keeneland. One of your partners had some swag, the best performance Breeders' Cup hat, and a Breeders' Cup ID. This had to be very special for you to have a horse like this perform as well as she did a couple of years ago out at the Breeders' Cup. Talk a little bit about best performance in her career.
Yes, Seth. We bought her as a 2-year-old, and we gave her to Clement. And, Christophe, I think, is starting to change the reputation that he has of being a turf horse trainer that they all go long on the turf. And so this filly broke her maiden the middle of May at Belmont in those one of the $100,000 maiden special weights. And had a great 2-year-old year, and had this and that before you know it, and we could never get her back to that. And that's really. That happens a lot in our business, but, we tried and we gave her a good break. We brought her back in the fall, and she didn't fire. And we just thought, well, let's see what our options were, and we could either put her in fall and sell her next year or sell her now. And one of the advantages that these horses have when they go to the sales right out of training is they're fit and they look the part of horses that are going.
Yeah, we're looking at a shot here that somebody tweeted out with her under the board with the price, and she looks fabulous.
Yeah, you compare and contrast that to a filly or a mare who's been on a farm for 9 months, getting fat and sassy. There's a difference there, and so that's what I think a lot of these mares that come off the racetracks, they sell for premiums in large part because they just look so darn good. And I think that, along with the fact that she showed the precocity of a good 2-year-old, and she ran in quality races, and with a little bit of luck, would have been a Breeders' Cup, a turf winner, but just got beat by a better horse on that day. And so all in all, I had a good number of partners in on her. They were all happy, and that's what this business does. We buy the ability to make memories, and that filly gave us a good number of memories. So that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and she goes on now and hopefully has a nice career as a brood mare as well. We're watching for her babies on the track. All right, let's catch up on some of the notables from West Point and see what the plans are going forward. You and I were talking before we went on the air, Galilean, and while we talked, I pulled up some of the stats for that one. Boy, this is a nice horse. Galilean out on the West Coast just started the career in a stakes race, and we're going to take a look at the last race for Galilean, the King Glorious out at Los Al. Galilean's going to be the number 2 horse as they come down the stretch here, winning by a chart margin of 9. Catch us up on Galilean, a little bit of the background there and what might be up next.
Yeah, a very well-bred horse. He's a Kentucky bred, but he's got the Cal-bred. That pedigree is Kentucky bred, and we bought him. He was a sale stopper at the Barrett sale last spring, and we just thought that he was quality there, and he had showed a lot of talent with Jerry throughout, and we decided to run him in the Futurity, the Barrett's Futurity Stakes for only horses that had gone through that sales ring. So that's a big plus, and he was able to break his maiden and got beat by just by a head by a good Baffert horse. And that horse got hurt, and we come back again in the next Calbred stake and really showed his stuff. So we're going to run him one more. We're going to take the California Chrome path. We've run in the same races as California Chrome, and there's one coming up in the middle of February that we'll take a shot, and then we'll go. Hopefully we'll be 1-9 in there, and then we'll go big game hunting, and we hope that this colt is as good as we think he is.
Yeah, and certainly 2 for 3 with the second place finish, and they're all stakes races. So looks like a nice future there for Galilean. Kenthaka, let's touch base with that one, and we're going to go back and take a look at the Las Barrera on May 12th of last year. Kenthaka is going to be the number 1 horse, putting nice stakes victory on his resume, but then went to the sidelines until the comeback a couple of weeks ago in the Malibu, ran 8th in that comeback effort. But I pulled up the Equibase page and see he's had a workout since then, worked out just about a week ago on the 5th, going 4 furlongs and 48 and change. And I saw on your webpage that you're considering the Palos Verdes next week at Santa Anita for Kenthaka. Give us the update.
Yeah, we are. He ran better than we thought in the Malibu. Got beat like a length and a quarter for second. They all they hit the wire together, that bunch after the winner, who was very impressive that day, the Baffert colt. And so we think he's in the spot to have a good 4-year-old year. He wants to go 7/8 of a mile to a mile. So I'm not the 3/4, the cut back. Hopefully won't be that big of a deal. And you got Roy H. is really the big deal. He's the big dog out there, but we'll have to contend with him. But we'll probably be second choice in there, and we'll give it a shot.
Hey, there was a big dog last week with Coliseum. You got past that one.
We did. We try to stay away from the spots with the big dogs that we have to compete against over and over. But sooner or later, the big dogs are going to show up. And every once in a while, we're the big dogs. So it comes and goes.
Let's talk a little bit about Still Dreaming, and we're going to pull up the Maiden Breaker. This was start number 2 for Still Dreaming down at Laurel on New Year's Day. Still Dreaming is going to be the number 7 horse, win by a chart margin of 3. And again, this was only start number 2, so got a little education coming out of the 4th place finish in the career debut, followed up with this nice win. And then again, looking at your webpage, which, as I say, keeps people up to date not only on results and current entries, but also where you're looking with the condition book down the road. And it looks like you may have the Sam Davis penned in for Still Dreaming.
Yeah, we do, Seth. And he's a really nice horse. We bought him last year at Keeneland. He's a half to a Kentucky Derby winner, Nyquist. So he's got a great pedigree. He's by flatter. And we always liked him. So we ran him over the Thanksgiving holiday down there, and he was a favorite, and we were all pumped up. And he finished 5th, ran okay, but looked like he was a short horse, probably 2 or 3 works short. But, we often talk about how beneficial it is to have them run okay, but not great in their first starts, because they can come back and they can do what he did without having to face, either allowance or stake horses in their second start, because that's the toughest jump we all know in racing, is to go from maidens to running against winners. And so that's what we shipped them to Florida, and we think we're so much better prepared with 2 starts under our belt than just 1. And we'll give him a shot in the Sam Davis, and we'll give him an acid test in that race to see where he stands and if he warrants staying on the Derby Trail.
Yeah, it's that time of year, certainly. I always look forward to it, and I'm sure you do from the owner's side as well. Terry, before we let you go, let's just touch on a couple in New York on the weekend. Saturday and a non-winner, so one other than fits in there because with 3 wins, some of those were stake-bred wins, but why not is going to run in that 7th Saturday afternoon at Aqueduct. And again, nice little New York bred for you guys, just under $300,000 in the bank, coming out with a 3rd-place finish on November 4th in a similar event for trainer George Weaver. What do you think of why not on Saturday at Aqueduct?
Yeah, if anything, when you watch him, he's got a slow fuse. He'll keep coming. He'll keep trying for you. He's not, doesn't possess unbelievable talent, but he's got talent. He's got some talent. He's got a big old heart. He keeps coming at you. He keeps grinding. So we get a good pace up in front of us, and we get a clear shot. You should see him running the last 1/8 of a mile.
And then Sunday, the Rego Park at Aqueduct, 4 state-bred 3-year-olds going 6.5. You have By Dawn's Early Light, broke the maiden in career start number 4. And again, as I say when I'm in here handicapping, just seemed like last time maybe the light bulb went on. The buyer number jumped up about 16 points. It was a nice win, mostly on the front end with the apprentice Gutierrez on board. He'll be back on board again on Saturday. By Dawn's Early Light, your thoughts on the Rego Park?
Yeah, we're in a good spot there. We're there again. The fact that we go into a race like that with 4 starts under a belt, I think is really beneficial. You hit it right on the head. We like to think that we give these horses time to kind of get their feet underneath of them in their careers. And when they run better and better in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th starts, you'd like to think that you did the right thing by them and you're headed in the right direction, with some bottom in them. And so that's what we try to do. And it's a very nice horse, a New York bred, and I think we'll have fun with this horse throughout the rest of the year.
And Terry, I know you guys at WestPoint play a big part in the 2-year-old sales. Those are coming up in the next few months. Have you already started researching and kind of making some thoughts, if not definite plans? Obviously, until you look at horses and really get a feel for them, you can't have definite plans. But are you already planning for those 2-year-old sales that are coming up over the next 2 or 3 months?
We sure are, Seth. That's really a major focus of our company and of our partners. And I go up a couple times before the sale. I'm due to go up the Monday after next for a couple days just to kind of get a lay of the land. And it's like clockwork. You drive onto a farm and you talk to a pinhooker. Inevitably, 95% will say, this is the best group of 2-year-olds I've ever had my hands on. Year after year, they'll say that. And that's good that they say that, because the year that they don't say it, that's not a good sign. But by and large, pinhookers are about as optimistic of a group as there is in this world. And the key is they just got to take care of these horses. And I know we put a lot of pressure on them, but there's a line that the really good pinhookers, they get to, they don't go over. And the more horses that we can get into the hands of the end user and give the end user, either whether a partnership or a sole owner, and the more we can give them a chance to have fun at the races, to have durability and longevity with the horses, the more our game is going to grow and thrive. And so that's my message to especially the 2-year-old guys. Just leave some meat on the bone, and you don't have to work them 9 and 4 or 10 flat to show that they have ability. You're going to get the money if they're good horses. You got good people that are evaluating these 2-year-olds. Just take care of them, and that's what I say to all of us. We all have to take care of these horses, and we just have to do more than talk about that. We have to actually do it. And I think as an industry, we do take better care of our horses, but we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, well said. And didn't I see on your website one of your more prominent names moved on to a second career jumping fairly recently?
A Ring Weekend.
Yes, Ring Weekend. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yep. He's with Philip Dutton, who's an Olympic gold medalist. Very good friends with the Grand Motion team, and we sent a couple to him, and he's very quickly the first three. He very quickly said he's a nice horse, but he's not in a good fit in my program, and so we're very excited when after a month, Philip said he might have a shot to be a very good player in my program. So he's in good hands, and we're hoping great things ahead for a horse like Ring Weekend in the show horse ring.
Nice. Terry, as always, appreciate the visit, and again, congratulations on, as I say, a nice exclamation point on the end of the 2018, beginning of the 2019 season. Nice win last weekend with Gunmetal Gray and some of the horses we've talked about. Good luck going forward as well. Always appreciate the visit, and again, tout people to visit the website, WestPointTB.com. Terry, thanks. We'll talk again, and we're down for the Pegasus in a couple of weeks, so hope to see you then.
We'll be here, Seth, and always a pleasure. And keep up the great work that you and your team do.
Appreciate it. Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds. Terry, thanks. Thanks again to Terry Finley for taking the time to visit with us. We taped that yesterday. Again, I wanted to go back and give them a chance to talk a little bit about the win last weekend in the Sham with Gunmetal Gray and a couple of stakes coming up on the weekend. Wish them good luck in the Native Dancer this afternoon in Laurel and tomorrow in the Rego Park at Aqueduct. Speaking of Aqueduct, yesterday with the remainder of the card, there were high wins on Thursday, so they got through about half the card on Thursday at Aqueduct and then canceled after I think the first five. And that meant there were refunds with the pick 5 and the pick 6. The pick 5 both had carryovers, but the pick 5 with a carryover always attracts some attention. So again, it was carried over to yesterday. And if you didn't check out the results with the carryover yesterday, a lot of people came up with the sequence yesterday at Aqueduct. The pick 5 with the carryover money in the pool wound up paying $298 for 50 cents. And understandable. You had the first race was an $8 horse, the third longest price or the third favorite in a 5-horse field. Second choice won the second leg at $7. Then Bavaro as the favorite won the third leg at $2.80. And you would have to figure that was a single on a lot of tickets. $13 and change was the longest price in the fourth leg. That was the third choice in a field of 10. And it wrapped up with another favorite. So a couple of favorites, a $5 favorite in the last leg. So a couple of favorites, a second choice, and a couple of third choices. And you would have to figure, again, with Bavaro being in there, it became a pick 4 for a lot of people. Another logical choice, a $5 choice in there. So you'd have to figure a lot of tickets in the $40 to $60 range, probably pulled down the $298, which isn't a bad result. The flip side of the coin is with that carryover and the anticipated pool, I'm imagining there are a lot of people also that took big shots and hoped something a little wacky happened, and they probably wound up on the wrong end of the 298. But again, I like to see a good mix in these kind of situations where, okay, give the big guys who are taking some shots their tickets, but give the little guys a shot as well in these carryover kind of situations. The mandatory pays I've talked about a lot. When there's that much money in the pool, I like to see it kind of become logical and let a big group of people pull down 800 or 1,000 as opposed to a small group of people pulling down 40,000. But, as I say, I like to see the mix, and that happened yesterday with Aqueduct's carryover pick 5 paying $298 with a fairly logical sequence, but they also had a pick 5 carryover yesterday going into the card at Tampa. I pulled up their result, a little bit different than Aqueduct. Aqueduct paying $298 for 50 cents. Tampa with their carryover in the pick 5 yesterday paying $32,000, just under $33,000. Started out fairly logically. The first leg yesterday at Tampa, it was a $6 favorite. Then it went to a $12.80 fourth choice in a field of 8. $11 and change third choice in a field of 9, $9 and change second choice in a field of 10. So we have a favorite, a fourth choice, a third choice, a second choice. And then what you would have to think knocked many people out in the last leg, an $84 ninth choice in a field of 10, all of which, again, led to a almost $33,000 payoff in the Pick 5 yesterday at Tampa, again, with the carryover there, too. So as I say, everybody got happy yesterday if you were jumping around playing those carryovers. If you were taking a shot for something crazy happened at Tampa, and if you were putting together a little ticket and hoping it wound up to be logical, that happened at Aqueduct. So as I say, I like it when it mixes up like that a little bit. All right. We will take a break. When we come back, Dave Rodman from Laurel Park, another nice stakes card. The winter schedule at Laurel is kind of fun. Every other weekend, every third weekend, there's a nice stakes day, and today there's 4 nice stakes at Laurel. We'll touch on those with Dave Rodman right after this. Stay tuned.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on a Saturday morning. Saturday means stakes races across the country, and as I said before the break, during the winter, nice stakes schedule at Laurel, and that includes this afternoon with 4 stakes. So I thought, who better to reach out to than our friend Dave Rodman? Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you on this Saturday?
Very good. And when I got in this morning, I went back and looked a couple of weeks ago because we had Jan talking about a nice stakes card there, and I knew during the afternoon, I was watching as I was in here doing the handicapping program, and you had tabbed a nice double-digit horse, and I was trying to figure it out. I think it was the Jeremiah horse. Wasn't it Isotope that you liked at $14?
Yeah. I liked the horse a little bit. Yeah. Had a really good trip on the rail. It's funny because I remember in the interview, I think it was George Vargas who rode the horse, said that his instructions were to get the runner outside. Never could get outside. Just had a great trip down in there, and but there's a horse who just kind of, I thought, ran a big race, a couple of races back, and was eligible to move on back to his best form.
Yeah, as I say, I was looking through the results and the Heft and the Jennings with Cordmaker and Colonel Sharp. I thought was another one you might have, but I thought it was the Jeremiah horse. That
I think more the Jeremiah, like a little bit. You liked Cordmaker, I believe it was.
Yeah,
right?
I did like Cordmaker a little bit. So it was a nice afternoon a couple of weeks ago. And again, we'll try to give out some good ideas again this afternoon. Before we do that, let's go to yesterday. You and I were talking before the break, and there was a spill yesterday. And it's one of those that, as a fan, you breathe in and hope the best because it was a little bit of a chain reaction. McCarthy, Caramanos, and Toros all involved in that spill. But subsequently, Jim Dunleavy in the Daily Racing Form had a follow-up article last night. It looks like, thankfully, all the jocks look like they came out okay.
Yeah, it was extremely scary. All I saw was silks flying in every direction. McCarthy's horse went down first, and then the other two fell over the stricken runner there. McCarthy and Torres kind of scrambled underneath the rail, and Karamanos was the first to get up, and I saw him walking. And then he kind of sat down a little bit after walking around and assessing the situation, and the doc checked him out. I guess they give them a test, before they can clear them to even walk to the ambulance to make sure they're, they're in good spirits and able to function. McCarthy and Torres, McCarthy was the first to be attended to, so I guess in priority they thought that he might have been hurt worse of the two. But it's just simply really a miracle that they're both apparently okay. As of reports late last night, I don't have the changes yet today, so I'm not sure whether McCarthy is going to ride this afternoon, with as many live mounts as he's got. If he checks out okay with the doc and knowing his spirit, he's going to be back in the saddle today.
Yeah, and as they say, that's good news always in a situation like that.
Yeah. Kind of spill where, people describe it on Twitter and whatnot after the fact. Things, I was just looking at silks and trying to identify. I didn't even want to go back and look at it, so... scary situation. Let's hope everything's good today with them.
Yeah, and when those kind of things happen, it takes the wind out of the sails for everybody. But the good news coming out of it, that everybody's okay. So this afternoon, nice stakes action. Before we get into some of the previews there, give us a weather update, because I know we have some weather, certainly kind of in the Ohio Valley area this afternoon, and maybe heading to your we're going to luck out up here in upstate and maybe not get hit by this storm, but I think eventually it's going to come towards you guys.
Yeah, the bulk of the snow will be south of us, but it's supposed to start after 3 o'clock in the form of snow showers and get heavier later in the evening. So if you see some snowflakes later in the card, don't be surprised. I think they're expecting anywhere from 1 to 3, that I love those forecasts, anywhere from 1 to 8. So depending on which way the storm track goes. Now, I think we're kind of in the 1 to 3 range here. I'm pretty confident with that unless the storm changes a little bit. It's supposed to continue into tomorrow morning, so I don't know about tomorrow's card. You'll have to keep your ears out for that one.
All right, but it sounds like we're okay for today. All right, let's start things out stakes-wise. Race number 3 this afternoon at Laurel is the What a Summer. Fillies and Mares, 4-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs. Divine Mischief coming down from a stakes win most recently at Woodbine and moving out of the barn at Joe Sharp is a little bit interesting. Moonlit Song, I think, is interesting as well, off a couple of good tries in stakes races over at Charlestown 2-back and right here at Laurel, and one of those was the Willa on the Move. Moonlit Song is going to run third in here, the number 2 horse, but the winner will be number 4, Late Night Powwow, and that one's back in this afternoon. 4 to 5 on the morning line, probably justifiably so off of this win, and more importantly maybe the Bullet workout on January 3rd. But what are your thoughts on the What a Summer?
Yeah, West Virginia bred is going to seek another win. She's just been a win machine, looking for 8 in a row. That was accomplished in the Willow on the Move on a muddy track. Kind of had the biased flow of the race, in my opinion, but she's just a very, very talented horse. Tough to hold down, but there's a key scratch in here, Seth. 3, She's Stunning is out.
Okay.
Limited View, number 1, is out. But maybe taking one of the speeds out of the race for her to run to. So maybe take a little shot in here with number 6, Bernick's Bank, and maybe save her exacta with the Powwow on top of Bernick's Bank. Shipping in for trainer Demetrius Sanifius from home base at Penn National. A couple of bullet works there for her since last seen in October for that PA bred. She doesn't ship, the trainer doesn't ship many horses down here that much. One of them was a horse that you might remember on the turf called Heiko, who actually, I believe, may have had the course record there for a while on the grass. But she was a fast horse, too. But Bernick's Bank, I think, maybe the speed of any speed in this race. I think they're going to try to dazzle him with a good break in the What a Summer Stakes at 6 furlongs. I'm willing to take a shot with her today and maybe back her up with Late Night Powwow on top.
Yeah, if I remember right, Bernick's Bank is one of those horses that got off to a kind of a big start. Maybe at Penn National it was as a
I believe,
2-year-old.
yeah, she might have won by like 15.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It was,
Yeah.
there was something that was kind of eye-popping about her early in the career. All right, let's move on to race number 5 this afternoon. It's the Native Dancer. I have a note at the top of the page. I think you can make a case for just about anybody in here. Talked a little earlier to Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds. They have General Downs in here. Stan the Man tried the Cigar Mile last time. Clearly a little bit tougher. Rich Daddy was down at the Claiming Crown in one of those stakes races and just missed. Jamie Ness has Marengo Road. But we're going to take a look at an allowance optional claimer from November 11th and watch number 3 Bonus Points when Bonus Points lined up this afternoon. Off a try last time in the Queens County at Aqueduct. I ran 6th there, but I went back to this one, which is 2 races back, because it was the last time this horse was on Laurel. So it's shown a little bit of an affinity for this course with 6 exacta finishes in 6 starts here. So Bonus Point 5-2 on the morning line looks intriguing to me. What are your thoughts on the Native Dancer?
Yeah, super consistent, approaching $500,000. Likes Laurel, 3 wins, 3 seconds. Has many wins here, including the Maryland Million Classic. So, of course, still Maryland Million eligible, didn't get in there this year. So, Bonus Points obviously looks like one of the contenders in the race. Scratch the 6 Stan the Man. That is a key scratch in here. Keith Bustel, our morning line maker, also does an early show, and I kind of agree in a price play in number 2, General Downs for West Point Thoroughbreds and Terry Finley's group there. Added the blinkers last 2 out. Good, gritty, sloppy track win. Runner can handle 2 turns. I thought his race here at Laurel October 18th was a good one too, even before the blinkers. I've got that race is really kind of his best, and I think he's going to stay sharp from a good draw down to the inside. It's a 1.16 that short run in the first turn, so I think he's going to be in a prime spot the whole way around. The question is the flow of the race with a claiming crown jewel runner-up there, Rich Daddy. Trevor McCarthy named to ride for trainer Eddie Keneally. This guy makes his first start here in the Mid-Atlantic. 13 wins for the 8-year-old. He never got off the rail last time out at Gulfstream Park. If he was at a race on December 1st, drew the rail, saved every bit of ground, was inside the whole way, made the lead at the 8th pole, and just missed behind Aztec Sense. So that was a good race, but how much flow is he going to get in front of him is a question today. I'm going to take a shot here with General Downs maybe to beat Bonus Points today.
Yeah, and as I say, we talked to Terry Finley earlier, and I said to him, it just looks looking at the numbers and that 94 Beyer 3 back that he's getting better at the end of last year as a 5-year-old, and Terry kind of agreed with that. And also looking at their website, they also had a race 2 or 3 weeks down the line in another allowance event, so that they choose this spot in the Native Dancer is interesting to me for General Downs. Should also mention Bonus Point comes in for Todd Pletcher, so have to toss that out there as well as a handicapping note. All right, let's move on to the Fire Plug, race number 7 this afternoon. These are 4-year-olds and up, going 3/4 of a mile. Shane's Jewel comes in good form with plenty of early speed from the rail. Home Run Maker, one of those Jeremiah horses, and has come down to Laurel in the past 3 starts, a couple of wins and a close-up third. Cautious Giant has been in some nice stakes tussles over the past few races. Chic of Sheiks as well. I'm going to pull up a Laurel race from December 23rd. The winner will be number 1, Uncontested, but running second will be number 4, Do Share.
That's the 3. Number 4 in the video. Yeah, he's out, by the way. I forgot to tell you.
Do Share? Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay. You can still see Sheik of Sheiks in there, who was 4 wide and kind of flat.
Number 7, yeah.
5th. Yeah, he was the favorite in that race. Gets a rider change today for Lacey Gaudet to Victor Carrasco. It was very wide and kind of dull. I mean, I'm willing to excuse that race for Sheik of Sheiks for sure. I mean, now that Dushare is out, he was going to be my pick too. I think this is the open race here, really, even though short field of the day.
Yeah.
Don't know which way to go.
Yeah, again, I made comments on, 4 of them that are still in, and I think as a numbers guy, maybe I would tilt towards Cautious Giant coming out of Dave's friend last time with the 96.
Well, it's the second in the cycle here at Maryland for trainer Kieran McGee. Second time in the trainer change if you go for that. I mean, I can see that angle. I can see Shake of Shakes rebounding to one of his better races here. He was on a 3-race improved kind of streak. For trainer Lacey got it before the excuse me, just still getting over a little bit of cold last week.
I hear you.
Going 4 wide on the turn last time out, and he's eligible for better. Home run maker. He's just kind of been a horse who's had the final furlong kick his last couple of races. But this is kind of a big step up for him. He's got that last furlong kick. But a horse that ran against him and actually was second to him, 2 back, Shane's Jewel, is very interesting off the claim for trainer Hugh McMahon. I mean, he's kind of the angle horse for me. He's going to be a price. He's going to be overlooked. He's got some natural speed from the rail. And if Shake of Shakes doesn't fire, he just might be out there. He might be out there.
It's a fun race, no question about it.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
8th race, there's some New York connections, New York interest with the horse I wanted to take a look at. Timeless Curls, I think, in the good form is interesting, but to me it's between Timeless Curls and Face It. The morning line indicates that 7-5 for Face It, 8-5 for Timeless Curls. We're going to go back and watch Face It at Aqueduct on November 30th. Face It will be the number 4 horse here. Took 3 starts to break the maiden, broke the maiden pretty convincingly on November 7th, and then came back in this first level allowance and looked good here too on the front end for Kieran and Godolphin. Now it ships down to Laurel to try Stakes Company in career start number 5. As I say, to me it goes between either Face It or Timeless Curls, but what are your thoughts on the Nellie Morse?
Yeah, scratch number 1, Blue Union Rags out of that race there in the Nellie Morse. Well, Face It, looking for 3 in a row, shipping down here for trainer Kieran McLaughlin, 7-5 in the morning line. You've heard that expression, yeah, but who did he beat? That horse Harkness he ran second to. I mean, he ran yesterday. I happened to be watching the New York Signal, and did you see the comment, the short comment on Harkness yesterday?
No.
Folded.
No.
So, I don't know if you're going to take 7-5 and a horse that Philly to beat a horse that folded. I don't know, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, I guess.
Well, I would go back and just remind people last week, Coliseum, who looked like a Baffert monster. The horse who finished second to him had come back and run like nothing. So sometimes you can draw that line through them like that.
Mm-hmm. Laurel Love and Timeless Curls. I mean, this horse is on a roll. 3 in a row, very gritty. Wes Hamilton knows him. He's lost his apprentice, Bug now. Eclipse Award finalist there, Wes Hamilton for trainer Dale Capuano. He got a win, I believe, first day after losing the Bug. Then was kind of on a little bit of a mini cold streak, and then won a race at Charlestown the other night, won a couple here the other day. So he's back on the beam there, even though losing the apprentice allowance. A horse that really loves this track, Timeless Curls. One more little shot, maybe, with a mare that's going to be a price in here, and Mo Knows for trainer Jerry O'Dwyer, a young trainer, who is a filly that's running, I believe it's filly's running at the fairgrounds next week. It broke its maiden here at Laurel, kind of an interesting horse. And Mo Knows matched strides with, guess who? Isotope, the filly, the mare we mentioned earlier in the program. In the 38 Go-Go, matched strides with her for much of the backstretch and going into the turn, and kind of folded there in the 38 Go-Go. And then kind of tried to come a little bit again late at 43-1. So she's stepping into maybe the 3rd race in the cycle here for a new young trainer who's doing quite well in Maryland. Just going to use her in the gimmicks there. Mo Knows. Yeah, Timeless Curls, loves Laurel. Face It, looking for 3 in a row.
Mo Knows is a little bit interesting just on that fairly quick turnaround. You have to think, maybe they have a little confidence there.
29th to 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she did run into that buzzsaw Tizzy the One in her first run here for trainer Jerry O'Dwyer. So interesting that, they'd been running her on the turf. Wesley Ward had run her on the turf. Bring her here to Maryland, and I guess she was training well enough on the dirt here to give her a shot on the dirt, and then throw her in a stake at 43-1 to kind of match strides with a really nice filly and Isotope there for a while. Maybe she'll just show some speed and falter again today, but I think at double digits on the board in a short field, she's worth looking at.
Yeah, that they're coming back in a couple of weeks, as they say, intrigues me. Dave, as always, appreciate the visit. Wish you and everybody down at Laurel good luck this afternoon, and we'll talk again.
Okay, Seth. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it. Dave Rodman from Laurel Park. Again, 4 nice stakes on their card this afternoon, so keep that in mind as you're playing. Also wanted to alert you out in Southern California this afternoon, this afternoon, I guess 6:04, this evening, 6:04 and 7:04, the 6th and the 8th race. A couple of stakes races out there, the Las Ciénegas Grade 3 event on the downhill sprint turf course. Should be a lot of fun. This one, Cell Court, looks interesting to me. Come back from March until November, came back and ran in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mayor Sprint off of that long layoff, given the long layoff, showed some punch and then faded, but now comes back again off a nice little bullet work on the 5th. So Cell Court's interesting. Tries to turf. That's an interesting angle there. More of a bona fide turf sprinter, however, is Belvoir Bay for Peter Miller. That's probably the one. Boy, you go back to that Monrovia in May of last year. That looked pretty good on this downhill turf course. Certainly has shown an affinity for the Santa Anita turf. But a nice field in there, the Las Ciénegas, and then the La Cañada also on the card today, the 8th race at Santa Anita. Fillies and Mares going 1 mile and a 16th. Stradella Road comes in off some nice races, most recently a 3rd and a stake right here at Santa Anita. Lamuna tried the turf last time, gets back to the dirt, and you would think will rebound to better numbers. Bernina Star also needs a little rebound. Went up to Golden Gate last time and tried the synthetic. Been on the turf in a couple of Southern California starts before that, but it's run well on the dirt and should go well this afternoon. And then Escape Clause also looking pretty good. Comes out of a stake. Again, has been trying the turf most recently, but the dirt numbers underneath are okay. So a couple of stakes races to keep in mind out at Santa Anita today as well. A little dinner time action, as it were. All right, going to wind things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Do want to remind you once again, the bankroll bonanza continues today and tomorrow. We would love to see you here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Put your name in the hat between 11 and 2. I'm going to start wagering at about 1 o'clock. 20 folks will get selected at 2 to be on the team, and at the end of the day, we split up whatever I've turned that $300 into. 2 separate $300 bankrolls today and tomorrow. You can come for one or the other or both right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. We would love to see you down here. The bankrolls are always a lot of fun when there's a big crowd. People are kind of cheering along. I'll be out there kind of labeling my plays as the afternoon goes along and hopefully driving that $300 up and up and up. As we play the Saturday afternoon tracks. Again, right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, today and tomorrow with the bankroll, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Also do want to remind you, today's a Fan Appreciation Day at the Alpha Lanes Easy Bet. That's located in Troy. The Fan Appreciation Day goes from 1 until 5. First 25 folks through the door get a $2 bet voucher, giveaway item, a racing program. There's a contest during the afternoon, food and beverage. All of that happening today. The Alpha Lanes Easy Bet in Troy between 1 and 5. Today is also a 1% day. Extra 1% on your Aqueduct plays via capitalotbbet.com. Check out the restrictions and whatnot at the website, capitalotb.com. And don't forget, the football action continues tomorrow with the playoffs. Stop by the Clubhouse Racebook, watch all the football action, participate in tomorrow's $300 bankroll. And watch all the racing action as well. That's here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Thanks to our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship. Gulfstream Park, champions start here. A couple of nice stakes down at Gulfstream as well. Stakes action at Aqueduct. So a lot of fun across the country on this Saturday afternoon. I'm looking forward to it as I will do a little studying here for the next couple hours. And I will step out front, Clubhouse Racebook, and get underway with the $300 bankroll. They're always a lot of fun. It's got to be your day, but if it's your day, it can be a lot of fun. Cash some tickets, and hopefully everybody at the end of the day winds up with a nice little chunk of change to put in their pocket and bet going forward. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Be back in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with more Racing Across America. Check us out this afternoon as we will have live cut-ins all afternoon from my seat out in the Clubhouse Racebook, giving out some bankroll plays. Should be a lot of fun, so tune in for that during the afternoon. In the meantime, enjoy all the racing today. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.